Hey guys, this is Coach with Practical Firearms Instruction, and today I want to talk to you guys about AR9s. There's a few different ways to do AR9s, and why would you want an AR9? If you set up your AR9 like your home defense weapon, your range gun, then you can use 9mm ammo, and that's cheaper these days than 5.56, and you can also use it to shoot steel at closer range. 5.56 ammo, no matter what it is, at close range on steel, you risk getting fragged and you pit your steel. So if you want to shoot head plates at 10 yards, AR9 all day long. So you can use your AR9 as a home defense weapon itself. The 9mm it's not as loud as 5.56. You're not going to have that big blast. I mean, it's still loud. It's a gun going off, but it's a less blast, less noise. You're going to have less chance of over penetration. Now that's going to depend on your ammo selection. If you're using ball ammo, it could sail right through the threat, but with some good hollow points and self-defense type ammunition, you'll dump all that energy in the threat, because over penetration only counts once you've hit your target. Okay, if you hit the target and it goes through and that bullet has enough energy to go through a wall and into your daughter's room, that's over penetration. Any ammo that you use, if you miss your target, if it'll do lethal effect on a human, it'll go right through drywall and become a lethal threat to other people in the house, potentially. Another thing is, not everybody trains all the time, and everybody in the house who is going to be expected to use that weapon to defend the house needs to be able to use it. Now, whether that means you train once a week, once a month, twice a year, there has to be, more training is obviously better, but hey, I live in the real world. Not everybody can get to the range that often. So with new shooters or infrequent shooters, let's call them, the AR9 is less intimidating, and if you're less intimidated by it, the more confident you'll be with the weapon and being able to employ it in a high-stress situation. So once you've decided that AR9 is a good idea, two ways you can go to start off with is a dedicated lower receiver or a standard lower receiver. Now, the dedicated lower receiver will be something like this, and it's going to have either a mag block here, because this is a standard AR-15 lower, but has a mag block in here that will allow it to take Colt pattern magazines. Now they make lowers that take Colt mags, and they also make mag blocks that take different types of mags. So I know they make them for Glock and Smith & Wesson and SIG, to name a few. That's your dedicated. Now if you go with a standard lower receiver, so this is just a regular lower receiver, no mag block required, but what you're going to do is you're going to use Mean Arms makes an insert. It's a 9mm insert for your PMag. So you find a PMag Gen 2, I think, and you put these bad boys in there. They're like $30 a piece, and maybe a little bit less when you buy more than one, and you can use these, and then you can roll with a standard lower receiver. So the next decision you have to make is whether you want to go simple blowback or delayed blowback. Simple blowback is just like it sounds. It's simple. So it relies on the weight of that bolt. I mean, this isn't a bolt carrier, that's the bolt, and it's heavy because physics still works, right? So, there are laws in physics, not just good ideas, right? So when the round goes off, you got a 115, 124 grain round that's being pushed down the tube. Well, equal pressure on either side, right? So it's going to go both ways, and now so it's pushing 115 grains that way, and this, probably 10 ounce or more. It's heavy. It's a heavy ass bolt. don't know exactly. So it just takes longer to push that, right? So by the time the bolt starts moving, the bullet's already out of the barrel and pressures come down after that, right? So that's how it doesn't blow up in your face. So it's going to rely on the weight of the bolt to delay the cycling of the weapon. Okay, now there's a couple different companies out here that make delayed blowback. Now, delayed blowback, instead of using just pure simple weight, you're using a mechanism. CMMG makes this really cool one that I've got here, and it looks a lot like an AR-15 bolt, but it's cut at an angle here. So the fact that this has to turn, okay, so that turns, and these cuts, these angled cuts, the pressure against those as it turns, that's what causes the delay. So that'll delay it just long enough for those pressures to come down. Now, the advantages, let's go with back here to our simple blowback. The advantage of this one is it's simple. It's one piece. There's less parts. And that's its biggest thing. It's also going to be a bit cheaper, all right? Because you got to pay for all that machining and design and all that. These have been around for a long time. They got a good track record, so they're going to be a little cheaper, and they're simple. Okay, now the cons though, you're going to get more recoil, more felt recoil impulse, just because that big chunk of metal is cycling back and forth. It's going to make this gun move around. All right, so that you're gonna have a heavier recoil, a perceived recoil on that one. I mean, again, it's 9mm, so it's not huge. It's, not 30-06 or anything like that. All right, with the delayed, because it uses a mechanism, not weight, the whole gun is a little bit lighter, and the recoil is way sweeter. Okay, it's you know the difference when you're shooting that one or this one. Seriously. So that's the biggest thing. Of course, it's going to be more expensive, and there are more parts involved. Okay, so if you're worried about parts breakage, then yeah, is it an issue? I've been shooting this thing for a few years now. I've got 2 of them that I built, and no issues so far. So no broken pieces. So now back to the dedicated lower versus the standard lower. If you have a dedicated lower, whether you go something like this with a mag block, or you can buy a lower receiver that just takes Glock mags, all right, but you're building one gun, all right, you're not going to be able to switch back and forth. You're going to, all right, this is, you're making this, and you're going to use this as your home defense gun. Yeah, is what it is. It's going to be the cheaper way of doing things, and it'll work just fine. Now, if you go with a standard AR lower, you can go either the blowback route or the delayed blowback route. Okay, so this one here, it's got just your simple blowback bolt in it, but I can use the standard lower here because this company called Mean Arms, all right, they're the ones that make these magazines. Now there's 2 different types. There's the radial delay one that doesn't have an ejector on here, and then there is the simple blowback one that it includes an ejector in the magazine. So what this allows you to do is you can take your standard AR-15 that you're using for home defense or your range gun, and you just swap out uppers, and you're shooting 9mm as long as you got your magazine. Now with the simple blowback one, you also have to change out your buffer, because with simple blowback you need more weight, so you got a heavier buffer and a heavier spring, so you got to swap those out, but you're not you know, spending time wrenching or taking things off or, you know, anything like that. With the radial delay or delayed blowback, there's nothing to change. The buffer and buffer spring stay the same, so I'm basically just swapping out magazines and uppers, and now I'm shooting 9mm. Okay, so Mean Arms, like I said, they make the inserts that go in here. They also make a lot of other stuff, and they just came out with a bearing delayed blowback 9mm. I don't have one yet. I know a guy who does, and we were out shooting the other day. He had no malfunctions and everything ran just fine. I don't have one, so I haven't put a lot of rounds through one, but it looks like a good item. So for simple blowback, PSA, Palmetto State Armory, they make a decent one. I've got a few of those. There are other companies that make them, but like I said, the design's been around for a long time. You can have ones that are cut for Glock mags, for Colt mags, or a hybrid that will do both. Okay, and I just got the hybrid that does both, and I've never had a problem. So, like I said, it's like I said, simple blowback. All right. Now, Mean Arms and CMMG are the two delayed blowback, whether you got radial delay with CMMG or the ball bearing delayed blowback with Mean Arms. Now, both of those guys use the magazine inserts from Mean Arms. Okay, just again, if you're going to go that way, make sure you get the right one. Now, this is just a quick video, kind of an overview on what an AR9 is, the different ways you can do them. I'll do future videos on each one of these guns to show how, you know, I'll go in depth into each one. And guys, if you like this kind of content, like, subscribe, and leave me some comments.